Cleveland, Ohio, 1320 AM, 107.7 FM, WOBLradio.com, and available anytime on YouTube. It's time for the Everyday Ag Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Twining, and this is your connection to the everyday life of the backbone of America. Let's dive in to another ag venture. Well, hello and welcome back again, everybody. The 8th edition of this awesome podcast. And just like I started our other April episode, I need to give a huge shout out to the best sister-in-law there's ever been, Sammy Parsons, for making April's shows possible. Like I told you before, after all, she really was truly the brainchild behind the evolution and creation of this podcast, of me rambling on twice a month to you guys about agriculture and having guests on like we're going to today. But she's also one of the best freehand artists you'll ever meet, and she just opened her very own tattoo shop down in Middletown, which is just outside of Cincinnati. So head over to her personal Facebook page or follow the Inked Odyssey, which is her tattoo shop, on Instagram and TikTok, which is Inked Odyssey 01. That's her username, or whatever you want to go with there. And if you're looking to have work done, she's worth the drive from up this way, about 3.5 hours. And so head down there for your next tattoo, or just check out all the cool art masterpieces that she has displayed around her shop. Well, it's April, but it kind of feels like the January weather we had for whatever reason in Ohio. But like I said, we have guests again today. Hannah and Lee Vogel from out in Western Ohio. Hannah grew up just down the road, up the road, whatever you want to say, over in Grafton on a small Belgian draft horse farm. And like I told you with Liz and Lee Merrill, you go where you go to high school, but she graduated from Buckeye. And like, Buckeye. Anyhow, I mean, being a river rat, Buckeye was, we'll leave it at that. That's kind of like Ohio State and Michigan. But she also had an illustrious FFA career that I'm going to let her tell you more about. And then we have her husband, Lee, who grew up out where they're at now, out by Tiffin, and graduated from Mohawk High School, which I have no clue about, so I'm going to say that's a win. He lived on a beef and grain operation and was a lifelong 4-H'er. The two met in 2010 up at Cuyahoga County Fair and got married in 22. And they have the next generation on the way now, which is super exciting. Most importantly, these two are the absolute epitome of everyday ag for our generation. The great love for beef cattle, draft horses, and now, although on a bigger scale than me, also have that awesome love for pigs with a thriving pig operation that I'm sure they'll talk about also. So without further ado, over the phone tonight, because I wouldn't want to drive to Tiffin, so why have them drive out here? Here is Lee and Hannah Vogel. Welcome on, guys.
Hey, Pat. How's it going?
It's going. What do you got for us tonight?
Oh, all kinds of good stuff. You touched pretty good on our basic information, where we grew up and what we grew up doing.
Yeah, and how we met and all that.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. Lee, you want to start kind of more on your end of things?
Yeah, I guess just your typical average childhood growing up on the family farm with Dad and Grandpa, always stayed busy with the beef cattle and grain farming and making hay and all that good stuff through the summer. And Yeah, always showing 4-H at the local fairs and whatnot, and then showing beef and pigs. And I always had a, kind of a lifelong dream of having a lot of pigs maybe one day as I grew up. And well, as we'll get into that later, I have probably too many of them to keep track of now.
For sure, and yep, like you said earlier, Pat, Lee and I had met through actually our county fairs, and of all places, Cuyahoga County Fair. Never in a million years did I think growing up where I did in Grafton, we have about 20-some acres of hay that we farm, and, Mom and Dad had a pretty cool operation of horses and still do. That's a lifelong thing I don't think we'll ever quit. Never in a million years did I think I would end up in Tiffin, Ohio, and marry a guy who has pigs and cattle and totally switch gears 180, Learned a lot about it in FFA, kind of how you touched on as well. 4 years and have all my degrees, my American degree, and held many offices in high school, and along with a state position, which was student advisor, which was pretty cool. That was neat to go around and see, and all the different things you learn in FFA, and it's really cool to see where that applies into agriculture today, and somehow I ended up in dairy cattle, which, they didn't really have much for, like Lee was in 4-H. Unfortunately for me, we didn't really have a lot of 4-H for draft horses in Lorraine County, which now they have a pretty good 4-H program for the kids, which is great and awesome to see, and I hope that continues to thrive and grow, add more diversity in there. So, FFA, that was cool to get into the dairy cattle and learn a little bit, but then once I got around the beef cattle, totally let's do another 180 there. So yeah, we have lots of diversity, which is, like you said, part of our everyday ag.
And that's one of the I think most fun things about agriculture is you can be so diverse and you don't have to focus on one main thing. And like I said,
we do something different every day.
Yeah, you can do something different every day and multiple different things every day.
And, no matter how many times you do the same job, as we get into spring and as the fall come around and everything else, you could do that same job, and, man, is it different every time, too. You never know what's going to break or what's going to go smooth or all that good stuff. It's always great. And that's what's cool about your podcast, too, Pat, is that you are bringing lots of different areas of agriculture into one learning space, which is nice because, and it's cool to hear, like with Lee and Liz, we show with them at Lorraine County, I believe. And even though we know them and sometimes we compete in some of those bigger classes, it's really nice, to hear and learn more about their personal operation. And it's nice to listen in, and I'm sure we'll hear lots of other people we need to know about. So
that's one of our goals. We're going to keep trying.
For sure.
So we've still got a couple minutes. What else is on your agenda that we can touch on for maybe 5 minutes?
Oh, let's see. Do you want to get into the pigs, honey, or which area you want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Grain farming.
Let's talk grain farming real quick.
Sure.
Oh, that's probably my favorite part of it all. We got the beef cattle. We got about 40 registered limousine beef cows, and so they keep us busy. But my forte is, playing in the dirt and the spring and the fall, and I just really like that time of year. We got about 650 acres total, some of that being, pasture and some hay for the cows, but mainly raising corn, wheat, and soybeans.
Some cover crops in there?
Yeah, throw some cover crops in the fall and whatnot. But we've been at that place for, since the 50s. Grandpa used to actually milk brown Swiss cows there.
And until blizzard of 78.
Yeah.
That kind of switched our gears, and that's when Rod got into, they saved a couple brown Swiss and
Yeah, they
started
actually
the
crossed them with the Lemmies.
That'd be an
And
interesting
that's
cross.
that's how my dad kind of got started with the beef cattle part of it.
So, yeah, and, which is nice because now most of our herd, you know, in the beginning, I think he still had a little bit of half and half, but mostly everything, like Lee touched on, is registered.
He's
and
pretty
over.
proud of his red, purebred Lemmy.
Yes. You forgot to add that part in. The red, no black Lemmies, just red. So, yeah, and grain farming, that's always up and down. You never know what to expect with that. And like you said earlier, you know, our weather, it's April, and man, it feels like January. And some days you get excited, you think, man, I think maybe we could start working some ground and
You just
get in there. And then
another day yet, and it never seems to come, just the rain comes. So
yeah, it just switches, or it takes that one guy down the road. He gets started and gets everybody all fired up, you know.
Yeah, and I tell everybody the reason I don't go north to Cleveland and hit the casinos is because I gamble every day when I wake up.
Right, that's farming. That is farming 100% in a hole. We are, I would say, professional gamblers, but because some years we do okay and some years not so much. So,
yeah, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
John just handed me a note across the table. We're talking about weather. Apparently, it's supposed to be 80 on Sunday.
No kidding.
Yeah, and there's a freeze warning tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So
we're lucky. We get to experience all the weather in one day or in 2 days.
Right. Yeah, wait 5 minutes and the weather's going to change. Hey, while we're at it at a decent stopping point, let's go ahead and we'll run our commercials real quick, and then we'll have plenty more time to come back in and talk pigs and more grain farming and whatever else you guys want to discuss.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
Have you heard about the creamy delight waiting for you at Carlisle Creamery? Introducing their small herd share program, bringing you the finest raw milk straight from the happiest pasture-raised cows north of Route 20. At Carlisle Creamery, the Hamkers believe in the purity of nature. Their cows graze on lush green pastures, producing milk rich in flavors and nutrients. Join their herd share and experience the goodness of farm-fresh, raw milk right in your own home. Get to know your producer and their cows personally and see firsthand where this wholesome product is being produced. Become a part of the Carlisle Creamery family today. Look them up on Facebook or email them at carlislecreamery@gmail.com. Taste the difference at Carlisle Creamery, where every sip tells a story of pure, wholesome goodness. And always remember, know your producer. Brought to you in part by Keller Meats in Litchfield. Just north of the Circle on State Route 83, they are your prime destination for all your locally sourced beef, pork, lamb, and goat custom processing, as well as a full retail counter. Go to kellermeats.com or visit them on Facebook for more information. Well, welcome back to the Everyday Ag Podcast. And today we're talking to Lee and Hannah Vogel. Welcome back, guys.
Hello.
All right. You want to dive into pigs or you want to finish talking grain? Where are we at? You guys tell me.
Oh, pigs. We could fill up a whole entire segment with just the pigs. That's kind of the easy part for us. You know, as much as we love the horses and the cattle and the grain farming and stuff, unfortunately our family farms anymore, just with the economy and everything, it's just hard for them to sustain and pull the whole entire family and keep everybody, going financially and everything. So, Lee and I, we both have other jobs. I manage a salon, and Lee, he works lawn care, hauling cattle, livestock. I mean, pretty much whatever we can do to stay afloat, So that's what kind of takes us into the pigs. Is that was we were looking for a way to just expand the farm and how we could
kind of a way to, us personally get started at a young generation like we are. And, your parents are established, your grandparents are established. Like, how did you look around and like want to have everything, but where do you start? And you know what makes financial sense? You know what makes sense? Like, you can't afford to go do a lot of things. Like, we talk about buying a farm or, building a barn to raise cattle or raise this or.
Unfortunately, we didn't talk much about the horses because there's not too much money there. But
well, they are hay burners. I know I'm going to get shot for saying that, but we've got two at home.
I'll say it. I'll be the one to be the bearer of bad news. But one day, maybe one day. But yeah, like Lee was saying, just how do we get our foot in the door?
Yeah.
And where do we start? So. It was quite a bit of a process, and it was a little overwhelming, I think, to take on at first. Lots of big numbers when we come to talking about the livestock or the size of the barn or, financial or anything like that.
A lot of unknowns, like any, big move in life.
Yes, another gamble to add to the table.
Right,
it's just a good gamble or not, and I think looking back, we would do it all over again. So, we kind of started, we broke ground in October of 2021, and we were fully functional and operating by March of 2022. So it took a couple months to get the barn up and get going. And what's the dimensions of the barn? We're a double-wide commercial hog barn.
Yeah, it's 101 by 198, I believe, are the dimensions.
So, and right now we are on our fourth batch of pigs, so we get about 2 1/4 turns in a year. So right now I think we're at 2,459 to be exact, is how many hogs we just got in.
Say that again.
Wednesday and Thursday. 2,459 hogs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, but it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience, and definitely something we love doing. But like I said, we're on our fourth batch.
And it's just like everything else, nowadays technology has kind of taken over, and everybody thinks, how do you feed that many pigs? And I say, well, I don't walk down the alley with a bucket, No,
we'd be there. We would be there. It'd be worse than milking cows. We'd be there every day because by the time you get done feeding one end, you'd be starting all over.
Yep.
Yeah. Technology has definitely taken that over, just like everything else in agriculture.
And you probably operate your feed augers off your phone.
Oh, yeah. Just like everything else. You got an app for it,
Yep.
You can go on and do this and do that, which I tell you is really handy,
Oh, absolutely.
I always say technology is nice when it works, but when it doesn't work, it's a pain in your butt,
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's nice, because sometimes you just can't always physically be there to get something set, whether it be the temperature of the barn or, a feeder gets plugged up or whatnot. So, the feed and the water is all automatic. It's temperature controlled.
Oh, yeah, climate controlled. Oh, yeah. They got the life in there.
Yes, they do. And even if it gets a little too hot for those piggies in there, they have a sprinkler system because, if some of our viewers don't know, pigs don't sweat. So they need a little extra moisture. So those sprinklers turn on when we have those 98, 99-degree days. The barn opens up pretty much and creates a really nice, even airflow. And it's nicer than being outside some days, which is kind of mind-blowing. Or even in the winter, you can be working in there in shorts and a T-shirt if you choose.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about it. You stay warm doing pig chores in the winter compared to your cow chores.
Yeah, definitely a 180 there. It kind of stinks when you have to bundle back up and go back out and do cattle chores because you're like, holy cow, we just flipped here. So
now in the wintertime, what are you heating with? Do you have like infrared or?
No, there's just propane force heaters hanging inside.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the nice thing is, too, we have some days where, unfortunately, our weathermen are not always the best at predicting our weather. One job I wish I had, you can be wrong all the time and still get a pretty paycheck, But anywho, so, some days they talk about, we may have power outages or we may have this. Another nice thing is the barn can fully operate off of a generator that we have as well.
Yes, that was kind of a requirement when the building was put up, that backup power, because if those fans go out with the manure pit underneath of them, it doesn't take long for the fumes to come up through and suffocate the pigs.
Mm-hmm. And the barn can drop down into an emergency mode and open up all airways possible in case something fails. So hopefully we don't, knock on wood, we don't ever have to run into that issue and can keep all the livestock afloat. Remind me, how big is the manure pit?
It's 1 million gallons underneath of them piggies.
1 million gallons of liquid gold.
Does that, how long is the storage on that? Is that 12 months? Or is that like 6 months?
I haven't pushed our luck that far. We've been hauling in the spring and fall just to be safe.
Right, every 6 months. That way, you don't push that limit.
Yeah, because what happens if you try to push the limit and it's raining every day like it does, and but somewhere that stuff's got to go. There's no overflow to that.
Right.
But that's a whole nother subject. That the manure value is really something we kind of overlooked at first building it, but then since we've kind of been spreading it in the fall on wheat and corn and whatnot, it's kind of a really cool added benefit per se that we really didn't look into until we kind of I've seen the benefits from it.
Yeah, our bushels have definitely increased, which is
like you
very
said,
nice.
Yeah, kind of liquid gold. I kind of agree to that to a certain point.
And it cuts your chemical fertilizer costs down too, which is huge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yep, we can kind of save a little and gain a little depending on prices and such. So it's a nice added bonus.
It's another way to diversify,
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yep. Like I said, I think we would do it again, if the opportunity ever arises.
Yeah, I really like it. Like we talked gambles, but it's kind of compared to like buying a farm, you gamble all your money out there for 6 months at a time, where the hog operation's more of a month to month. Kind of everything's kind of set in stone. You know what you got to pay. You know what you're getting paid, and as long as you do the work and take care of the livestock, and which that's one of my favorite parts. I love to go in, got to check every pig, feed them a little bit of cookies, make sure they're all good. Keep everybody happy, and like Lee said, he kind of... Hannah could spend the whole day in there if you let her.
Oh, I'm sure.
I heard it's easy. Especially when them little ones come in. Man, are they cute. But, yeah, they definitely give you a run for your money.
And look at that. We're running out of time just like that. But tell the listeners, kind of to wrap up, what breed are you raising, or are they all types?
They're actually a Hampshire cross. Okay. I think I might have...
I would say they're mainly Hants or some crosses,
Yeah, we have a few, I call them guinea pigs. I don't know.
They're red. They got some red in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But mainly white.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So...
Awesome.
Well, we just want to say thank you, Pat, as we get ready to wrap up. Like I said, thanks for having us on your show. And like I said, it's really cool to hear everybody's different aspects of where they come in the agriculture. So,
and we just barely hit the tip of the iceberg. So I'm sure you guys will have to come back on again and talk to us. Of course, here in 4 or 5 months, there's going to be a little screaming kid behind you too, right?
Yep. Yeah, right in August 8th. So we'll see how the fairs go and what we're planning for the year. I think we're going to try and juggle it all, but we're going to make it work. We'll have another one right alongside of us. So
it wouldn't be life, and it wouldn't be fun if you weren't trying to juggle everything around, right?
Absolutely, that's right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, thanks for. Oh, John's throwing more notes over at me. I know I saw it on Facebook, but I'll be the first to admit I didn't really pay attention. Is it a heifer or a bull?
It's a bull.
Okay.
It's a junior.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a junior.
Little bull calf.
Yep, little bull calf. Yep, for
Well-
sure. So we're excited. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. We've got the applause for you too, and
Wow, we feel the love. Thank you, Pat.
and a new house that you've got to get all set up and ready to go.
Yeah.
In the meantime,
Yep.
too, and like you said,
Yep, another couple acres to add to the farm. So,
And-
yeah, we're excited about that, too.
and one more thing to add to the everyday ag world of trying to juggle crops coming up and pigs and jobs and grass mowing and all
Absolutely.
that stuff. So, well, thanks for
but
coming
we
on,
wouldn't want it
guys.
any other way.
That's right.
Thank you, Pat.
Yep, we will catch y'all later, and it's been good catching up, and I'm sure we'll see you at too many fairs this year.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well,
Thank you,
as
Pat.
we wrap up the show, like always, we've got every episode is available a week later. Of course, you can catch everything we've already done, all the other shows. They're all up on YouTube at the Everyday Ag Podcast YouTube channel. This one will be posted next Wednesday. And then they're also available on Spotify if that's your flavor of listening. And then, of course, we've got the ButterPig Partners Facebook page and the Everyday Ag Podcast TikTok profile now. If you want to follow along with the fun things that are happening at the farm when I think about posting them on TikTok, because that's new and I'm learning. And even though I'm in my mid-30s, technology is not my thing, but I try. But like I said, you've got YouTube, Facebook, all the social media, at least most of them. I try to be on there. And May will be another fun month. I think we'll talk more planting season and what we're going to be doing here in 2 weeks. Hopefully there'll be some more dust flying by then. It's Ohio. It's still early. Who knows? There's a lot of dust already flying I've seen this week. Of course, this rain doesn't really hinder us much, but it does, especially this cold weather reminds us that it's the end of April in Ohio, and maybe we should pump the brakes a little bit. Such is life, especially with agriculture. But as always, it's been fun having you join along. And like I said, we'll see what we get into here in the next 2 weeks to a month. And before I forget, if you go to my personal Facebook page, I have it shared, something that kind of weighs heavy with me. On May 4th, so that would be a week from this Saturday, I am helping co-host, if you will, a benefit for a close friend of mine, actually a close friend's mother. They're all family at that point. She just got done fighting her battle with breast cancer, so we're having a benefit to help cover all of those medical bills and lost job costs and all that. That's going to be down at the fairgrounds in Wellington. Costs are $50 a ticket. You can go to loveforlinda.com to buy your tickets if you want to go to that. Or you can see me, reach out to me, whatever, and I will get you a ticket if you want to come down. We're going to have basket raffles, 50-50 raffles, a full meal, all that good
was a paid
stuff.
Informational program.
So,
The views and opinions expressed
John's trying to cut me off already. But anyhow, if that's something you're interested in on May 4th, get your tickets, see me for tickets, what have you. And we'll catch y'all in 2 weeks. Now you can take her away, John.
The proceeding was a paid
That's
informational program. The views and opinions expressed were not necessarily those of the staff, management, or advertisers of WOBL Radio.